Hey, distant learners, we're going to learn about the Statue of Liberty and the White House today. So we're going to do two American symbols in our book. You can grab out your Flags and Other Symbols magazine if you have it handy. If not, you can just look at the screen and follow along. But we're going to start with the Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. From Flags and Other Symbols. The Statue of Liberty stands for freedom. Long ago, the Statue of Liberty was one of the first things people moving to our country saw when they arrived. This is from a poem about the Statue of Liberty. The Statue of Liberty, a poem for kids by Paul Perrault. The Statue of Liberty is 150 feet tall. She stands in New York Harbor and she gives out hope to all. She was built on Liberty Island and she stands there still to this day. She represents friendship, freedom, and the American way. She was built on Liberty Island and
I don't know why it didn't skip down to there, but we don't need to hear that part again. So this is the Statue of Liberty. Like it said, it stands 150 feet tall, and it's in the New York Harbor. And a harbor is a place where boats can come and dock. And so, like it said a long time ago, this was one of the first things people moving to our country saw when they arrived. Because before airplanes, people that wanted to travel here from a different country had to take a boat to get here. I'm going to share just a little bit more about the Statue of Liberty from my American Symbols book. So the Statue of Liberty stands in New York Harbor. A harbor, again, is a place where ships load and unload passengers and cargo. It was a gift to America from France in 1886. Lady Liberty is a sign of friendship between the countries. It also represents freedom and hope. And so when I said Lady Liberty, that's a nickname for the Statue of Liberty. The statue was the first American symbol many immigrants saw upon entering the United States. Immigrants still come to America hoping for better lives. Here you can see a picture. And in fact, the Statue of Liberty started out the color of a copper penny. It has turned green from being outside so long. So let's pull out those American Symbols books and find the Statue of Liberty page. And we'll write one fact at a time. We'll just move down one line at a time to write those facts. So let me see if I can make this a little bigger. Perfect. Using a different camera recording system. So our first word for our facts is located in, where's the Statue of Liberty located? In New York. Go ahead and write that. Got it. Next word we're going to write, our next fact, it says it is a gift from France. That's what we're going to write on the next line. Awesome. Got France written. The third line, we're going to write how tall it is. It says stands 151 feet tall. Good. It's made out of copper. And the last word we're going to write is over time, or I should say the second to the last word. Over time has turned green. Good. And then our last word we're going to write. The Statue of Liberty is a symbol of freedom. So I write the word freedom. Great. Set those books aside. We're going to learn about the White House, and then we'll write the facts for the White House. So let me turn my computer, make that a little smaller for us, and move over to our next page. All right, so that's where we're going to be. We're going to just learn a little bit about where our capital, or where the White House is, and I'll share a little bit more in my book as well. So,
Our capital city. From flags and other symbols, Washington, D.C. is the nation's capital. Our country's government is here. Washington, D.C. has many places that are important to Americans. 1. The Lincoln Memorial honors Abraham Lincoln. He was an important president. 2. The Washington Monument honors George Washington. He was our first president. 3. The Capitol building is where leaders from the states meet. They make our country's laws. The White House is where the president works. It is also where the president lives.
all right. I'm going to share a little bit more about the White House in my May book. So here's another picture of the White House. The White House is a symbol of democracy. Democracy is a form of government in which the citizens vote for their leaders. It represents the United States' history. U.S. presidents have lived and worked in the White House since 1800. Have you heard of the Oval Office? It's where the president does a lot of important business. The Oval Office is in the White House. And here's a fact. Have something on your mind? You can write a letter to the president at this famous address. The White House, 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, Northwest, Washington, D.C., 20500. So there you go. The White House. Well, we are going to go ahead and work on our facts for the White House next. So pull out that American Symbols book again. And we're going to get started with our first line. I might turn my thing again. So our first word, located in Washington, D.C. So we're going to write two words. Washington. I bet you can guess who that was named after. Our first president, George Washington. D.C. And that stands for District of Columbia. Let me make sure it's in the screen so you can see it. Go ahead and write Washington, D.C. Good. The next word we're going to write is president. The president lives and works there. Go ahead and write president. Good. Next, we're going to write how many rooms. There are 132 rooms in the White House. That's a lot of cleaning. Great. The president's office is called do you remember? Yeah, the Oval Office. Go ahead and write that word, those two words. Great. Next fact says there are blank floors. There are 6 floors in the White House. Again, that's a lot of cleaning. I'm glad I don't live there. Awesome. The last fact is what the White House is a symbol of, and it's a symbol of leadership. Now, I know in the book that I read, it also said the word democracy. The word democracy is a lot like this word leadership. When we think about that word democracy, before I put up my pause card, we think of people being leaders. And that's leadership is people being a leader. So that's why we're going to use this word, leadership. Excellent. Well, now you can go back and color in your White House and your Statue of Liberty. Remember, we're just using our crayons to color the pictures. I hope you had fun learning about the Statue of Liberty and the White House.